Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice. I am Dr. Clarice, and you already know I am excited to be here as usual. No, it's been a minute. I haven't done a podcast since April, just busy being busy. But, I'm rejuvenating, re elevating, rebuilding myself and the podcast. And what a great way to start off with a wonderful guest, Simone Washington, and her walk with the best of all things. One of the things I want to tell you about Simone is that she's probably one of the most interesting people that I've met in a long time. I met her through um, our workplace, Cal State Long Beach, California State University Long Beach, and she's in IT there. She's part of a Black faculty uh, group there. And she's just a very interesting person. And what I loved about her more than anything was her transparency. Today, you don't have a lot of people that are very transparent. So what you see is not also what you get. So let me just tell you a little bit about her. She's an accomplished learning and development professional for over 20 years. Uh, she she has 20 years of experience designing impactful educational materials. She is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Kissy Technology Solutions, where she leverages her expertise to create innovative learning solutions. Uh, Dr. Simone, has an honorary doctorate and was given that honorary doctorate because of all the amazing things, humanitarian things that she's done in Jamaica. We'll talk about that also. Her achievements include a degree from Florida International University, Barry University, and California State University, and her honorary doctorate is in humanities. So I am the queen of letting people talk about themselves because sometimes I don't do them justice. So without any further ado, please help me welcome Simone D. Washington, who is an author of The Best of All Things. She is a donor advocate. She is an IT and also a book consultant. So please help me welcome her.
Thank you
Hello,
so
hello,
much. Hi.
hello.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, thank you so much for being gracious enough to accept the invitation because sometimes people say, "Oh, well, I have to think about it." So you said, "I would love to," right away. So that always makes my job easier.
Yes.
So tell what I like I said, what I actually love about you is your transparency and your ability to not be afraid to think or live out loud. And a
Mhm.
lot of people are just afraid to do that. I mean, I was going through your book, and I'm not giving people, you should get this book. This book is filled with impactful things about her faith walk, about her resilience, just so many things. But let you start where you want to start because I like to talk
Yes.
and you don't. And so I'm going to put you, but for the next 50 minutes, you're going to have to. So walk me through your journey of how we got to the best of all things and what this project means to you.
Yes. Yes. So I do love to talk. I used to get in trouble in school for talking so much. So that is part of the reason why I said yes so quickly to being on your shows because I love to talk so much. So thank you again for having me. There has been so many wonderful things that have happened throughout my life, and um, my story begins in the book at the age of 24, and some life-changing things took place at that time. And over the years, as I'm sharing my story with people, the response has always been, wow, you have been through so much, you should really write a book about it. I have been hearing that for many, many years. And then when the pandemic happened and life slowed down a bit, is when I had the time to actually sit down and write the book. And so I offer it as a tangible testimony to what I've been through and what the Lord has seen me through and gotten me through. Because we are taught that part of the reason why we go through the things that we go through is not just for us, but it's also to share with others, to either be an inspiration for them or to help them get through what they're currently getting through, or just to be a witness of the wonderful things that God is and the wonderful things that He does for us. And we are examples of that. And so it would be just in vain to go through things if we're not sharing it with other people to help them along their journey. And so that is why the book means so much to me, is because it's a tangible way for me to be obedient in sharing my testimony and glorify the Lord in all of His goodness, and also be an inspiration to others who may be going through something similar, and also bring awareness to the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donation, especially in our communities where we are the most in need. If you look at the statistics of the wait list for kidneys and hearts and livers and lungs, we are the most in need. And we are also the same community that is the most apprehensive about becoming registered donors. And so I want to be someone that you have met in person in real life. And so that it's not something that, you don't know about, or you don't know anybody that has been through this or has been affected by it. That knowing someone who has been through something like this, and I've had a kidney transplant, and it brings the cause home, and it helps people to really reconsider how important it is to consider becoming a registered donor.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it resonated because what you said really speak volumes in terms of our needs. Um, you know, basically, the African Americans are more likely to die from, right?
Yes.
So, for instance, uh, unfortunately, we fall prey to white women are more likely to get breast cancer, but black women are more likely to die from breast cancer, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or for the need of organs, you know,
Yeah.
because why? It's we are not as savvy in terms of organ donors,
Mm-hmm.
bone marrow donors, those things like that. So, how were you blessed to get an organ at a young age? And do you know who the donor was? And how did it come about?
Mm-hmm. So I was diagnosed with end-stage renal failure, which means that my kidneys were working at 10%, and I was put on dialysis a couple years after that. And while being on dialysis, I went through the process of getting on the donor wait list. And what that entailed was having to go through all of these tests to prove that I was otherwise healthy, because they don't want to give the organ to someone who has other ailments. They want to give it to someone who is otherwise healthy, to give it the best
Exactly.
opportunity to be successful. So I had to go through over 30 tests to submit in order to be added to the wait list. And so I was still working full time at that time and going to dialysis. And so going, making the appointments, going to all of the appointments, having the test done, waiting for the results, all of that took about a year to complete. But once I did complete it, I was put on the wait list. And it took a little over a year after being on the wait list before I was matched with a kidney. And although I don't know the details of who my donor is, what I do know is that it was an 18-year-old young man who succumbed to gun violence, and his family made the decision that they would donate. And so there was another young lady who went to the same dialysis center that I did, who received his other kidney, and we had our surgeries at the same time. We recovered in the room with each other, and that's how we met and found out that we had the same donor. And so that's how I was blessed with a kidney.
Okay, this might be inappropriate, but okay, so what's the timeline here? Somebody is murdered and
Mm-hmm.
they have to harvest their organs. So what's the time? So you get a phone call and you say, hey, they say, hey, look, Simone, we've got a kidney for you, but you've got to be here in an hour. Or what does it look like? I mean, what is that whole thing?
Yes. So my kidney transplant happened about 15 years ago, and technology has advanced since then. But in general, the different organs have a different lifespan. And so, if someone passes away and they're able to get to the hospital and be put on a ventilator, then it makes the organs available for longer. But in general, for kidneys, they can last up to 72 hours outside of the body under the medical team's care. And so, once a person is listed on the wait list, they're given instructions not to travel beyond 4 hours away from the hospital that they are registered with, in case there becomes a kidney available, um, that you could get there within the amount of hours that it takes um, to make the kidney available, to do the surgery and all of the things. And so we do get instructions about how we can travel after we've been put on the wait list. Um, so yeah, so I'm not sure the details of what happened with my donor, but I did get a call, and I had gotten several calls over after I got on the wait list. And in general, what happens is that the hospital will call several people for one organ. They will call them, and everyone has to go to the hospital to give blood work. And the medical team analyzes the blood work to see who is the closest match of those people that they call. And then after
Mhm.
they've done that, they call the person who is the closest match, and that's who gets the kidney. So I had been called several times to go and do that blood test, only to find out that I wasn't a match. And so this time, this was my match.
So how did you feel when you were a match, and how did you feel when you weren't a match? I mean, you get excited, I'm sure,
Yes,
uh, because you're on dialysis 3 times a week,
yes,
4 or 5 hours a day. You're
yes.
still working.
Hmm.
Uh, it's the process, and I mean, you're not at your best, I'm sure, when you're going through that. I mean, you're doing the best you can, but you're not like at your highest level.
Right.
So, what was the feeling like for you when you were a match? What does it feel like? I mean, what was that? Do you
Hmm.
remember? What did
Absolutely.
it feel like?
Yeah, so I'll start with what it felt like when I wasn't a match several times. So like you said, really excited to get the call that there's a possibility, and going down to the, like, dropping everything that you're doing, going down to the hospital, giving the blood, and then having to wait to get the results. And it will always take several hours. So very excited for the opportunity. And then later on to get the call that say, unfortunately, this isn't a match. It's exactly what you think it would be, like very devastating. And so after about the fourth time that it happened, I was just not really hopeful anymore, because I'm like, okay, I was just going through the motions at that point. Like, I took every call seriously. I went down to give the blood work, but I didn't hold my breath anymore to hope that it was a match. And so by the sixth time, and I had gone that morning, I had given blood just like all the others, right? And I just, at this point, I just go on with my day. I didn't even think, I didn't even remember that that happened in the morning, right? And so, and the call came so much later. It was like 9:30 at night. So I'm in for the night. I'm watching a movie, I have my legs kicked up on the couch watching a movie, and then I get the phone call. Um, and so the nurse on the other end of the phone says, congratulations, Miss Washington, we have a match for you. And although I heard the words, it didn't really register, because for one, I wasn't expecting a call from them, because there have been several times where they didn't even call me after the blood work. I had to call them. And then by this point, I'm like, I'm not even doing that, because we've done this so many times, right? So I wasn't even expecting a call from them that late at night. I was in the middle of a movie that was already like very shocking. And so it just wasn't registering right away. And then by the end of the call, I was like, okay, I need to I need to get a ride to the hospital. I was supposed to have a go bag packed. They told us long time ago, and I never did it. So now I'm trying to put things together in a bag. It was just chaos. Trying to call my parents to let them know, and they weren't answering the phone at the time. I tried to call a couple people, a couple friends, and just this would be the night that no one was answering the phone. And so I remember changing my voicemail message to let people know where I was going. And I remember putting a post on Facebook to let people know what was happening. And then I headed to the hospital, and just chaos from that point on.
Wow. So that's just been 2 years. How long were you on dialysis?
I was on dialysis for 13
How
months,
long were
which
you on dialysis?
I was on dialysis for 13 months, which is a relatively short time, because there are many people that have been on dialysis for 10 years or more. So,
Years.
yes, yes. Um, so it was a
So what
relatively short
caused your
time.
renal? So what caused the renal failure? Was it diabetes? Was it just genetic?
So they found out later that I had a condition called EFGS. It's a condition that lays dormant in the body. It's like you're born with it or you're not, and you never know if you have it until you have a major stress event in your body. And the major stress event for me was that my apartment had been infested with mold. And then I had a big fight with the landlord and trying to get it, addressed, and trying to get moved to a different apartment. It was a really big battle. So the combination of the mold and the stress of trying to get relocated woke up the FSGS, and then it was only a matter of weeks before my kidneys failed, started failing. So
So you accidentally found out basically that you had this disease.
right,
Well, see, I mean, but here's the thing. I always say early, you, you can't prevent some things from happening, right?
Right.
You just want them to happen early because
Mm-hmm.
the only prevention is early. It's not later. And your outcome, of course, is a lot better. So you've got your kidney, you've got to heal. You've got to go back for follow up. You've got to medicine, all this stuff, right?
Yes.
Then you get so you the Jamaica when you return to Jamaica. This has been within the 2 years that you've gotten your kidney, or this was before.
So I had been to Jamaica twice. Um, I had been to Jamaica twice. One time before I got sick, and one time while I was on dialysis. And fast forwarding a few years, I've been back
When
maybe.
you went on a cruise, right? Did you go on a
It
cruise?
was So the
Or
second
you,
time I went, it was my friend was in a modeling contest, and the finals were happening in Jamaica. So I went there in support of him during his modeling contest. That was a fun time, a fun time. And so that was while I was on dialysis, and it was my first time traveling because we have to watch our fluid intake, and I had to miss a dialysis session in order to go. But I was still young and I wanted to still enjoy my life, and so I did check in with my doctors and I said, this is what I want to do. What do I need to do to be able to go travel? And so they gave me the instructions. I followed most of the instructions. And as soon as I got back home, I went to dialysis. So everything worked out.
and you did you find out at that point that you had a lot more fluidity in terms of dialysis, that you thought that there's dialysis centers like everywhere, where you felt like prior that you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that because you were on dialysis, but now they have dialysis centers, like you said in your book, on ships, on cruise
Mm-hmm.
ships,
Yes.
dialysis centers, right?
Yes.
So talk, when you talk about you went to your journey to Jamaica, you've been to Jamaica. Um, what? I've read a few chapters,
Mm-hmm.
but what stuck to me is the midnight miracles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So walk me through your midnight miracles.
Well, speaking of Jamaica, the first time I had ever gone there was on a missions trip with my church. It was shortly after Hurricane Ivan, and the people of Kingston needed help. They needed supplies. They were having a hard time getting supplies, just toiletries and just basic needs things because of the hurricane. And so back then we were able to have two full suitcases of checked in bags, free of charge. Flying to Jamaica included a full meal of fish and rice and vegetables and on Air Jamaica. So we were able to pack a lot of toiletries and things into our suitcases to get it over. And so part of what we did, we went to orphanages, we went to homeless shelters, we went to churches to just offer the toiletries that we had collected through the church. And just praying for healing for people and just praying for the city and the island of Jamaica to get through, the devastation that happened after the hurricane. So I had never been on a missions trip before that. I didn't know what it entailed. I honestly just went to be an extra set of suitcases that we could carry more items along. But I learned so much about like the power of prayer. And we went on a 10-day fast in preparation to go on the missions trip. And so I learned about fasting and the power of that. and just being like hands on, boots on the ground, like meeting people, not just giving supplies through an organization, but literally going and handing it out ourselves and praying for people. And it was a wonderful experience.
So, do you think you being on that midnight miracle mission and the healing was incentivized by your faith under fire? Did that spark that part of your life when your
Well,
faith was under fire?
it was definitely part of the beginning of it because I didn't really grow up in the church. My parents grew up in the church, and they definitely taught me about God and the Bible and all the things, but I didn't go to church on a consistent basis growing up. And so this was happening like in my early 20s. And so this was like real foundational for me, you know, learning more about how to read the Bible, learning about fasting and praying. And it was like on the job training, like learning like in real time, doing real work and making real impact. And so there was definitely a foundation there. But then when I got sick shortly afterwards, that was like the biggest test of my faith that I ever had up until that point. And to be very honest with you, I failed that test like horribly. I did not have, when I found out that my kidneys failed and I was really facing my own mortality, like my faith was not there. And so it really was the faith of my church members, my family, and my friends who were praying for me and speaking positively into me, that then developed my faith over time so that I could say those things over my life and pray over myself as well. But in the beginning, I didn't have it for myself. And so um, it's very important that, so for those who are praying for other people and for those who have like a prayer list, you know, at church, that it really does make an impact, and you really are standing in the gap when people are going through and they may not have it for themselves.
So, what do you think is your biggest aha moment in terms of your resilience, your faith walk, your your discoveries about
Mhm.
different things? Uh, Walk me to some of that. I mean, what do you think is your moment?
Well, the aha moment for me is what became the title of the book. It's like no matter what we go through in life, no matter how dark things get, there is a silver lining, there is an other side, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and there is a lesson to learn, there is a testimony at the end, and it becomes the best of all of the things that you went through. So if we are willing to be open to understand what the lesson is, and if we are willing to really look for God in the situation and seeing what He's doing in our lives, it really does become the best of that thing that we're going through. And so that is what the title means, and that's the way that I live my life. It's like no matter what is going through, there is something good that is coming out of that, and there's something good for someone else who you're sharing that with.
Do you sometimes get impatient um, and get tired of waiting for the best of all things? Do you, because you summed it up very nicely, but then there has to be a period of that time also that we've all gone through it,
Hmm.
questioning God.
Hmm.
But as you get stronger in your faith walk, you don't question Him as much. I don't think. I mean, I'm a lot older than you, but I don't think that, that I don't question. I know that it's coming. Now, will I be alive when it comes?
Yes.
Okay. Um, but I will.
Hmm.
So, what are you? I mean, do you, what does it feel like? I mean, when you've gone through some of the things that you've gone through, your discoveries, your your aha moments, your the things that you've been faced with, and it's the saying goes, you certainly don't look like what you've been through. Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Okay. Praise his holy name.
Amen.
So when you realize that God is always there and in the blessing business, do you exhale and say, the wait is finally over? Or are you cautious in saying that?
Well, let me just start by saying that I've always been an impatient person. I'm a Taurus. We're stubborn. We're bullheaded. Bull in a china shop. Especially in my younger age, that described me very well. I remember lots of conversations with my father and him saying that I need to be patient, like it's coming, like don't worry about it. And so it is something that I still work through even to this day. I've gotten better in finding purpose in waiting and reminding myself of things that God has brought me through as a way to stay patient for certain things. But it's difficult. It's not easy. Some days are better than others. And so, although I am grateful for my health and these additional 15 years that I may not have seen without this second chance at life, I've never been married. I don't have any kids. Um, I am always striving for a better position in my career, and I sometimes wonder like where I would be in my career had I not had this medical issue or this chronic medical situation. But so there are things that I'm still waiting on, and things that I am being patient for, and things that I'm believing God for, even to this day. And so I'm, like I said, some days are better than others, but being on this life journey with God and knowing that He shows up the way that He does because He has done it so many times in my life, it is what I do to remind myself that it, like, just be patient. Like if it's for me, then it will happen in God's time, which is not our timing. And so I'm better at being patient. I'm not the best at it, but I am better than I was. And so I'm keeping the faith. And if it's meant for it to happen in my life, then I'm faithful that it will. And if it's not, then I'm okay with that as well. At the end of the day, I love the life that I live. I am grateful for the freedoms that I have. I'm grateful for the place that I live and the weather that we have and the access to things that I can do and the people that I have in my life. So my life is good. And so I just hold on to that, and we'll see what the future holds.
Well, I have to kind of make a statement here. I mean,
Yes.
thank you for sharing that, but I'm going to say this. You are single with no children
Hmm.
because you made a choice.
Hmm.
You clearly told me, and I'm going to say it because women need to hear it.
Hmm.
You made a choice and you said, I did not want to be a single parent.
Yes.
That is what you said. You said, I didn't want to be a single parent. I didn't want to be a baby mom.
That's right.
Okay. And I mean, I have to applaud you because in today's world, it's it's almost a crime to be married first, then start a family. Like,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
I mean, we've got in vitro, we got the we got, and I mean, I shouldn't. Okay, I won't say it, but there's a certain family. I don't have anything, but I don't want to be sued for the little I have, right? Because you never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
certain family that basically uh just made having babies without husbands fashionable, right? But what women miss is these women were millionaires, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they didn't care who the baby. You don't hear about child support and custody issues, right? Because they just wanted children
Yeah.
before the clock started talking and stopped ticking, right?
Mhm. Right.
But when you said that to me, I thought that was extremely admirable, and I did not know until now your deep commitment to God and to your
Mm-hmm.
faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never too late. Sarah and Abraham.
Yes, that is true. I mean, for
And
those who
you don't want that ridiculous blessing, but I'm just saying, it's
absolutely.
possible. And look at Janet Jackson. Janet just turned 60. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a baby at 53, I think, or something. But again, I mean, so women are electing to do different things today. I mean, I have no fault of my own, but I had my first kid at 17. So
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what that feels like at all.
Yeah.
Because at 40, some early 40s, I had two daughters out of college.
Yeah.
When other people,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate to say it, I don't regret it. I mean, because I was young and broke, and being young and broke goes together anyway,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
So I have not one regret. Now I'm not saying people should do it, but I also went to college and I also have several degrees. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like I was just sitting at home smoking weed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
just want to add that too, that
Yes.
I was productive. So, but I think that I have to applaud you because look, believe me, when God has his hands on it, there's nothing too big for God. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Because he's who God all by himself. T.D. Jakes did a sermon on timing is everything. And
Mm-hmm.
in that sermon, he talks about God made time so he can control time. So when it happens, it's God's time. So you talk about the gift and the weight of waiting and beauty beyond the battle. So why don't you walk me through one of those? I mean, so is the gift the kidney? Is that the gift or is that the gift? Okay.
Yes.
So what about the weight of waiting? It was for the kidney. So we kind of
Mm-hmm.
covered that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Beauty beyond the battle.
Well, I just want to respond and clarify that I didn't want to become a mother because I had not, up to that point, had any reliable partners at the time, and that is why I did not want to. I mean, because I wasn't perfect. Like, I'm not an angel. Like, I was doing the things that create babies, and I just never got pregnant. And then when I started making better decisions, I just understood that, raising kids is a hard job, and it's not something that I wanted to do alone. And so I just made provisions to make sure that I didn't become a single parent. Now, if there were more reliable partners in my life in my younger age, then maybe my position would have been different. But it was a decision that I made based on my situation and its unpopular opinion. And, women get shunned for, making that decision for them. And we get a lot of smoke and flack for it. But if people are being honest, there are a lot of parents who have said that if they had to do it again, they wouldn't have kids. Not that they don't love their kids, not that they regret the situation, but if some people are being honest, that is the truth. And in the private conversations, there are a lot of people who also commend me for being thoughtful about it and doing the things that it took to just kind of maintain that position. And so I do think it's a conversation that we need to be more transparent about. I think that there are a lot of parents that because they are in the situation, they show a good front and a good face, and oh, this is the most wonderful thing that has happened in my life. And so for some people that is true, but for other people who are saying that it's not true for them and they're not being honest, and they would even go so far as to speak negatively of the women who have decided not to be parents, um, which I don't think is right or fair. And so I would like to see a place where we can have honest conversations about this so that there is no mud being slung one way or the other, that people are free to make the decisions that they want that's best for them and their situation, and that it be okay either way.
I think that's excellent, and I'll tell you why. Bravo, bravo. Because I once said to my youngest daughter that I wish I had not had kids as young.
Mm-hmm.
And she took that as I didn't want kids. That's not
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have more kids because I like kids a lot. I still like kids a lot, right?
Yeah.
But because of my situation, I only had two kids. If I had waited older, I know I would have had more kids.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was young and poor, well, broke, not necessarily broke, because I had two kids by the time I was 23. I was in school, pregnant in high school, and pregnant in college.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to do it over again, I would not have had kids this young.
Mm-hmm.
I would have waited, and I would not have even started a doctorate at 100 years old. That's because I would have started young, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because things would have been different.
Yeah.
But when you have your children young, yes, there's benefits in terms you're growing with your kids and you're done young. But what you also have is 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 the fact that maybe you weren't able to give them all they think you could should have given them because you're trying to keep up with your peers even though you got kids. You you got kids, your friends in college where you want to go to college too.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
you know you might not be, you're trying to find people to keep your kids so you can go to class.
Yes.
So I think you're right. I think those are count, and I have been honest about it. But like you said, people sometimes and see, look, there are people that should have never had children in
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
in life.
Yes.
So I do think you're right. I think that should be. I personally think that there should be some type of survey. I mean, you have a licensure to drive a car. Maybe you should have a license to have kids. I don't know. But yes, I think you're right. That's an excellent conversation if people would be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
Yeah.
everybody, I mean, every little kid has its own personality. And sometimes those personalities don't work for you. You know, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, and I think with social media, you see these kids today and you're like, oh my God, right? And you wish you could follow them into preteens and teenage adults to see what these little human beings that are totally out of control at 2 or 3 years old, what happens to them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, so you wanted, you, yesterday, Naomi Osaki, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know if you saw the thing about her little girl.
Well, I
Her
did
daughter,
see a clip of the beautiful dress that she came out on the court in.
she said that again.
I did see the clip of the beautiful dress that she came out on the court
Oh,
in.
right, right.
Yes.
Well, she asked, they asked her a question and she talked about her daughter.
Mhm.
And her daughter had a birthday and they were going to take her to the park. She said, I should probably not tell you this, but my daughter was bad and we didn't go to the park. And
Mhm.
she had an awesome birthday. She made a wish when she blew out the candles. And I just hope that she wished that she would learn to behave. Okay? But here's a world famous tennis player
Mhm.
that disciplined her 2 3 year old. You see what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yes.
Which people don't do. Oh, she said she couldn't go to the park because she had to do time out,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But parents today don't parent.
Well, I will say that they parent differently, and even my generation of parents parent differently than our parents did. And there are pros and cons to the differences in the ways to parent. But I won't comment too much on that since I'm not a parent, and I have had some heated conversations about me having opinions about parenting because I'm not a parent. So I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I believe that there are pros and cons to the various ways that generations parent.
Okay. Well, we've got a few more minutes here. So let's talk about what you said from the beginning,
Okay.
donor advocacy,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and why it's important. And we can say this is a call to action.
Yes.
Uh, what would be one of the things you recommend to people in terms of donating? I know, fill out that thing on the back of your driver's license to make sure that you like.
Yes. Yes.
What's
So
the best? Okay, so what's the best ages to donate? I mean, in terms of, I know you can give a kidney as a live person. I know people giving kidneys to people that they weren't related to. The person was dying, and they gave her a kidney, and they were matched because she just it wasn't coming fast enough. I mean, she was going to die.
mhm. Yeah.
So, what's the best age in terms of donating?
So there is no best age. If a person wants to be a living donor, they can go through the process of going through the medical tests involved in finding out if you can be a living donor, and if not, what things you can do to become, a viable donor. So sometimes people have to lose weight. Sometimes people have to regulate their diabetes or their high blood pressure so that they won't have higher risk during the surgery. So if you want to be a living donor, there's a process to, do that. Um, but if you want to be a registered donor, what that means is like once you've lived your life to the fullest, you're saying that it's okay that you then become a donor for someone else who is in need, and you help them, extend their life in a way that they couldn't without your help. And so there is no best age. And in fact, a lot of people think that because they have a chronic illness or they take certain medicine or that maybe they've had cancer before or maybe they have AIDS, that they can't be a registered donor. And with modern technology, all of those things are no longer true. because at the appropriate time, everyone gets evaluated to find out if they can be a donor. And then if they can be a donor, then they get evaluated on what can be donated. And the older you are, the better it is for things like skin. So older skin is more elastic and it can cover more space. So that helps when there is someone who is recovering from burns and and needs a skin graft. So older skin is actually better in those situations. And so um, someone who is living with AIDS who is a registered donor can donate to someone else who is living with AIDS, right? Someone who has had cancer can still be a donor. Like those things do not prevent you from becoming a donor. And so if you want to register to become a donor, all you're saying is that once you've lived your life to the fullest, then you're saying it's okay that you want to donate to someone to extend their life, the same way that someone did for me.
Well, I was just thinking while you were talking, and I was listening to you, but I have 5 cadaver tendons in my foot.
Mm-hmm.
And when my orthopedic surgeon told me, he says, "Well, we're putting tendons in your foot." I'm like, "Where are you getting the tendons from?" He said, "Oh, they're cadaver tendons. There's a company that harvests
Mm-hmm.
tendons and they wash them and they clean them and they sell them, right?" So you're right. And so I have five. I had a cotton transfer, so I have 5 cadaver tendons in my left foot, and that happened. That was in 2017.
So
It's still,
you are a
huh?
tissue. You're a tissue recipient, and so you're a tissue recipient. Anyone who has had a root canal is a bone recipient. We have people who have cornea transplants. So not the entire eye, but the cornea, so that they can see. Like we have all kinds of. So it's not just organs. It's not. It's also tissue. It's also all kinds of things. So one donor can save up to 8 lives through the organ donations, and can enhance up to an additional 80 lives through the tissue donations. So there is a major impact that each of us can make if we've just decided to become a registered donor. And what's interesting is that people know that you can go to the DMV to become a registered donor. But what's happening is that because driver's ed class is now an online course in high school, our young people are waiting a longer time to get their license to drive because it takes a while to feel comfortable in real time driving when you've only had an online course. And so there is a recent bill that's passed that now the question is going to show up on voter registration cards because our young people will register to vote sooner than they're getting their driver's license now. That's the trend. And so you'll have an opportunity to answer the question of whether or not you want to be a donor on voter registration cards coming soon.
you know, I'm my background is sales and marketing. That's what my background is. Business development, sales, marketing, sales. And I'm thinking when I'm talking to you, like if you donate your body, it's okay. People, cremation is big now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of you cremating your body, why don't you donate your body? And they take your body, right? They
Mm-hmm.
take it, they pick it up, they take it, and then they harvest whatever they can, right? And
Yes.
you don't have go ahead.
If a person wants to be cremated, they can still be cremated because donating organs and tissue happens before that process anyway. So if a person desires to be cremated, they can still do that. But we're just asking that you make these gifts available before that, right? And it's the same with any final resting that anyone wants to do. Donating your body to science is a whole other thing. It's completely separate. But just becoming a donor is something you can do whether you want to be cremated or not.
Right. So text me that information. I'm going to put it on your podcast, and then we'll know the people can donate.
Yes.
Uh, we're kind of at the end, but we got 5 minutes. Actually, we got 4 minutes, okay? Because
Okay.
we have to log off. It makes me feel better if we do 59 minutes.
Of course.
Book consultant.
Hmm.
We I need to bring you back for that, but tell me a little bit about the IT and book consultant and what that looks like, because I want to do. I've always, people have been making me do this book that I haven't done, but I should do it. I mean, a couple of people who are film people told me that I need to do, and they're kind of like famous film people say that
Yes. Yes.
you need to do a book. But I will. I'll just make sure I'll change the name to protect the innocent. That
Okay.
ain't it.
All right.
Ain't it.
So, Kioski Technology Solutions is a company that I started in 2020, and it really is one-on-one education for those of a more mature age. So, being hands on, going out, using their devices, and teaching them how to use the devices, whether it be a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, an iPhone, or softwares, learning more about what social media is and AI and those things. So that's what Kiosi Technology Solutions offers. And then once I became a published author, there were so many people in my circle that said, I have a book that I want to write as well, or I've been sitting on this manuscript, but I didn't know what to do with it. Can you help me um, get published? And so that's where the book consulting started. So it's just me helping people either finalize their manuscripts and get it ready for publishing, or just going through the process of getting a manuscript created. But ultimately, it's me helping, walking people through getting published so that they can have a published book in the same way that I do.
Mm-hmm. Say that again. You broke up at the end.
So the book consulting services is just me helping people take their manuscript and walk them through the process to get published in the same way that I did.
Okay. But we'll talk about that again.
Yes.
Um, so what would you like to leave with the people, with the audience? What would be your main thing you would want somebody to know?
Well, I would just like to thank everybody for tuning in and finding our conversation important enough to listen to. And I hope that everyone has walked away inspired in some way or learning something more about the organ, eye, and tissue donation process than they did before. And ultimately, really considering becoming a registered donor. And if there are any questions that you have, if there's anyone out there who wants to reach out to me to further the conversation or answer some questions that you have, I am available on all social media platforms as Simone Washington, Somone Washington. Please reach out. I am available to have these conversations. I could talk about it all day, no problem at all. So thank you for the opportunity to bring awareness to this important cause, and I really have enjoyed our conversation tonight.
Well, you're welcome, and you want them to email you at Simone D Washington at gmail.com.
Simone Washington at Gmail, or Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Simone Washington.
Okay, and also Simone Washington at Facebook, Instagram, and everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm really happy we finally did this. I want you to come back.
Okay.
Uh, and Mary, I see a couple of people, but Mary Jones, thank you for watching. I'm on different feeds, so I can't see everybody, but I do appreciate everybody that's tuned in. This is recorded, so you can watch it again, and if you want a copy of it, Simone. But I want to thank everybody for coming on, and I especially want to thank you, Simone, for all that you've done in your journey, in your walks, and just how you are able to handle things so eloquently and make a big difference. You helped me tonight walk through my pain of change. You put a smile on my face, and I'm sure that other people who watch tonight also feel the same way. You've empowered me. Go out and get this. Is on Amazon. I ordered it and I got it overnight, not like last night, but a couple weeks ago. And, but order it. The best of all things. It's a great read. There's some surprises in here. I was surprised. It's okay. I was like really surprised. But go and get it. Best of all things. And tell your friends to get it. And be an advocate for donating. As Simone said, and it's true, we are, when it comes to organ donors, we are in dire need of people. I'm not able to give blood. Blood's the same way because I have very small veins. So
Mhm.
that thing they used at Red Cross is too big for my veins. So, but I have tried. So
Mhm.
I'm going to look into organ donating and put it in my living trust and tissues or tendons, whatever they can use, right?
Yes. Yes.
Don't let it go to waste. So until the next time, our next guest will be on next Wednesday. Is my dear friend Jean Poole, who is the Medicare specialist, and she's going to give us an update of all the things to help you walk through your pain of change with Medicare. So
Yes.
thanks again, Simone. I appreciate you, and I just love your transparency, and thank you for being a stellar guest. So until the
Thank you
next
so
time.
much.
You're very welcome. Thank you all, and thank you for supporting. Please like my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube. It is free. See you the next time. If you want to be a guest, just reach out. It's free also. Thank you. Good night. And take care.
Good night, everyone.